Welcome to the Planner Pals podcast, a podcast hosted by two true planner pals. I am Jess or Jessie Corinne.
And my name is Mark, and I go by Mark Your Pages. And we are here for another fantastic episode, Jess, as we talk about stationery buys that we just can't say no to. This is going to be a fun episode. One that Jess has already clocked me on before we even started. She was like, I already know what your three things are. And she named them in order. She's on top of it today, friends.
It was one of those things, it's like I'm trying to open up the document because Mark did a very good job of actually like pre-preparing for this episode, and I'm just like, na 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 na. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm like, before I even open it, these are your three things. I'm just going to put those vibes out there. And he's like, yep, you got every single one of them.
100%. Before we get into today's episode, let's go ahead and have to thank the Planner Pals for all of the amazing stationery storage solutions. There were some fantastic ones. And also, it's always good to know we're not alone. Just a number of sticker hoarding / storage issue problems too. So we are not alone there. We knew it, but we're not alone. It feels good.
It's always just nice to be reassured of the fact that there's other people who are in our space who have the same issues that we do, which means that I feel like there must be some markets that people haven't really tapped into to make some solutions for us, but it's fine. We'll get there one day. In terms of things you can't say no to, though, because that's kind of our topic for today, and I was trying to rack my brain, like, what can't I say no to? And I think the hardest part about this is that when it comes to stationery, I don't buy a lot of stationery. I get sent a lot of stationery, but in terms of me purchasing it, thinking about what I would not be able to say no to in terms of that was a little bit tricky for me.
Yeah, it wasn't very hard for me because I'm the complete opposite. I buy too much. I have stuff come all of the time. So it's always just like, well, what's next? And I honestly think I'm kind of getting to a point maybe where you are right now, which is like, I don't think that I need more. I know people will grasp their pearls when they hear that. It's not saying I'm not buying anything else, but I think I'm just being a lot more particular about it. But there are three main areas for me that like I have no self-control on, and I just absolutely have to say yes to the stationery.
No, that's very fair. I think that given that I get as much in from people that I haven't like selected myself, I guess I'm maybe a little bit less precious. That being said, I still definitely have way too many things and could probably let some more things go, which I'm going to be doing in the upcoming quarter. That is one of my major projects, is to declutter my stationery stash. But in terms of one of your three things, what would be the kind of like top tier thing that you just cannot say no to?
So the thing that's growing and growing and growing and has now grown to 2 boxes is stamps. I have a really bad addiction to stamps, but most specifically, I have a really bad addiction to functional stamps. And there are so many different stamp companies out there. Like Everyday Explorers Co. is like my kryptonite. Like they just have some fantastic ones that I have to buy. So she'll come out with like a new functional planner one or fountain pen one. I'm like, I have to have it. And often I have to actually go back and like look at my collection first just to make sure that I don't already have that one or something similar to it. And same thing, Archer and Olive, I feel like every single stamp set they have, I have now. Do I need it? Probably not. Do I want it? Do I have to say yes like every single time? Because I always have like a situation that I'm thinking of how I could potentially use that stamp set. And I think that's why it's probably one of my worst / best buying habits, is because I always have something coming in the mail when it comes to stamps.
No, that's very fair. And I think that because stamps are so great in terms of like being able to be used multiple times, it almost feels like you can justify the collection because you're like, oh, I can use this so many times. So regardless of what I paid for it, they can go the distance. I can really get that kind of like monetary use out of them. It's just that they also take up space, and then we have to store them, and then we need the inks, and then we need the stamping blocks and all of the other like stamp paraphernalia that goes with it.
There's so much of it. That's absolutely 100% true. And some of them too that I've been buying, like one of my favorite are like these number and letter stamps, and they come in so many different fonts, and that's the problem, and so many different sizes, especially for ones that I have. They're these really cool little number stamps, but there's like 3 different sizes, and I have kind of like middle of the ground but kind of small. And every time I'm using them, I was like, I wish these were a little bit bigger. Maybe I should buy the larger point size. Or I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if these were even smaller? I just need the whole set. And that completionist mindset that I have with these things are like, have all of the options because it's just the right way to go about it. But I haven't bit the bullet on that just yet, because every single time I'm like, well, now you have to store those boxes somewhere, Mark. They didn't just slip inside of little pouches like the clear stamps that you have.
Yeah, I think that in terms of stamping, I think my preference is for those kind of acrylic ones. Like, that's what I think they're called. I'm not like a stamping aficionado, so correct me if I'm wrong here. The ones that are kind of like made of jelly and you like peel them off and put them on a block.
Yeah, clear stamps is how most people call them. Acrylic stamps, people will call them because you need the acrylic block to then stamp them. Photopolymer, there's all kinds of like different names for the different makes of them, but I just call them clear stamps because they are essentially clear. But yeah, I agree with you. I have my extreme collection of those. It's just because there's just so many options and things you can do with them. And then I just got to remember to use them because I'm like, oh, a new one, use it, use it, use it, use it, use it. Forget about the last thing that I just bought and then use it until then I'm like, oh, next new thing, and then never touch the other one. And then you have a giant collection like I have right now.
Yeah, no, I can very much relate to that idea of like, oh, you're the new thing, so I'm going to use the ever loving heck out of you. And then everything else is just sitting on the shelf or in the drawer, just like, why did you abandon me? I thought we were friends. You're making your stamp sad.
We have a lot of those in this house, a lot of sad stamps. Just kidding. No, they're all very happy stamps. They're well taken care of. They're cleaned. They're with all their friends. All right, Jess, how about yourself? What's your top tier worst buying habit?
I think that point that you made about the completionist mindset totally gets me, especially when it comes to pens, which is an odd thing because I don't consider myself to be like a must buy, must buy, must buy in terms of pens. But as soon as I get like two, then I like need the rest of the set. Like if I get two zebra mild liners, say like the brush ones, I was like, oh, I don't need the brush ones. I've got Tombos, and then I got two of them, and I'm like, okay, well now I need every single color. I need every single one, and I must have all of them. So I've done this for like pretty much any pack of pens that I have collected at least two of. Just need to go and like fill up the range.
Well, it's hard because they do have Zebra, I feel like, is the biggest culprit of this because they put out all these different like color group sets of things. And I'm like, well, wait, do I already have that color? Like, this is the spring click art markers. And I'm like, but wait, I already have like the 32 pack. Are those the same colors? And they're just like grouped together differently. So sometimes it is hard. And I definitely have duplicates because of that. But for me, that's probably in the same boat with just like all of them. The mild liners are the worst too because there's just so many, but then there are only so many. It's a lot to keep track of.
The ones that are the worst for me are honestly the Archer and Olive calligraphs because I do like brush markers. I love the fact that they're double ended. Like you get your small brush and your large brush. That's kind of nice. But because it's a seasonal release, you get a new pack of pens and new pack of colors 4 times a year, which means that it feels like the collection is never completed. So it kind of almost enforces that buying habit, I suppose. It's funny because come the last release they had, like the most recent one where they had the 10 pack of colors, I said to myself, no, Jessica, we're not going to get it. It's going to be fine. But then I wasn't the one who placed the order because I was on a plane when they did the release and I didn't want to miss out. So I told my friend, like, oh, I know I'm going to get this journal, but I was kind of toying with the idea of the pens and I'm not sure if I'm going to get it yet. And of course, then she placed the order for me while I was on a plane that didn't have any Wi-Fi, so she didn't know if I wanted them, so she got them just in case. And I'm like, well, now I can't just like say no because you paid for them, so I'm going to pay you for them, and now I have them. So it's like, okay, haven't quite escaped. Maybe one day, but I'm not there yet.
Do you think that your collagraphs may go the way of your acrylographs because you just got rid of all of your acrylographs probably in the past year? Or were you just really like, I know all of us were kind of collecting them too because they were cool. Were you just not using them or did you kind of just fall out of love with them?
Yeah, it was definitely just not giving them the use that they probably deserved. It's that kind of maintenance that needed to go with the use of the pen. I really love a brush marker, like a water-based brush marker. You just pop the cap off, use it, pop the cap back on, put it away. Done. No shaking, no cleaning, no priming, none of that kind of stuff, because as soon as you start to give like extra homework to use the pen, I'm just not gonna use it. Same idea with gel pens. They skip or they smudge, you have to wait for them to dry. I'm like, no, 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 no. I just want to be able to get in, write the stuff, get out, be done. So any kind of difficult supplies to use, or ones that I have decided are difficult, quote, quote, to use, those ones usually don't survive in my stash very long. Unfortunately, the acrylographs, I did definitely get quite a range of them before I came to that realization. So I ended up selling like, oh gosh, I think it was over like $1,200 worth of pens for like $100 because I'm just like, price to clear. That's how I like to do a lot of these things. It's just get them out of my house before I can reinforce that buying habit.
That's a great deal that a lot of people made out with because there are so many. When I was just moving everything up here, a lot of them already self-contained in these boxes that I have over here. But there was extra ones like the Amanda Rach Lee box, and I keep the metallic ones in their box as well. But then I also have them bound up together here too. It's just like you're looking at them and you're just like, wow, there are so many of these, and it's rare that I go to grab for them. I'm trying to be better about it bit. But I mean, one thing you can do, just so I look at it, you get the workout in when you've got to shake like all of them at the same time. Maybe get HR called on you, depending on what you got to do. I mean, you just make it part of your process now. But they're definitely, I know what you're saying. It's you have to work to use them essentially.
I feel like I just don't need the reminder that my arms aren't as toned as I would like them to be. But what would be your second worst buying habit or thing that you like to collect?
This was right up there, but it's like kind of neck and neck. It's Eric Small Things. And you clocked it right on the point. You're like, okay, I know this is going to be it. If you're not familiar with Eric Small Things, she is a Japanese eraser stamp artist. She is my stamp savior. I love everything that she does. One day I will make it to one of her stamping classes. It's honestly a dream of mine. She always does stuff like over on the West Coast, like in California and Texas and stuff like that. And they'll message me because they work closely with Cute Things from Japan. And I'll get messages from them that are like, hey, we're going to be here. We'd love you to meet, Erico. And I was like, trust me, it's my dream to meet her, but like I can just never make it to where they're going to be. But there's just something about her designs that I think resonates so well with me. I think it's kind of that mix where it's not overly cutesy, but it has like a really fun look to them. Also, she has every type of like thing that you need. She has the clear stamps. I have a whole collection of those. Then she has the block stamps. She has these acrylic block stamps. Jess, I even bought a glass with her designs on it, and I just hold stuff in here. I don't do anything. I don't drink out of it, but I needed to have it because it was Eric Small Things. And anytime I see new releases from her, it's just like an instant buy. I don't even think about it at this point.
Yeah, you're like, what, the ride or die? She's your ride or die. Or are you hers? I don't know how that one works.
I think I'm her ride or die. Like she could do anything and I would buy it. Like she puts out notebooks. I buy the notebooks. I'm not going to likely use those notebooks because they're not like how I'm using my bullet journal. Like she put out fountain pens from Kaweco. Like they partnered together. I don't personally like Kaweco, like the small little pocket pens are not totally my deal, but like I need to have that. She puts out stamp blocks with Sambi or others. I have to buy. Like it's just a horrible, wonderful but horrible vicious circle. It's a fandom, I guess. It's like when you're a fanatic of something, like that's what I am with Eric Small Things. Like I'm a fanatic, so anything that comes out I buy, I have, I store, I love.
It's like those people who collect like all Hello Kitty merch and then their entire home is like Hello Kitty themed. You are that, but for Eric Small Things.
Yeah, and luckily all of her stuff is very small, so it all like fits in little collections. I dedicated a stamp shelf to all of my woodblock Eric Small Things. I mean, that's just how it is, but it looks really cool. I love using it in my bullet journal too. Like I said, it's just like something fun that I can put down. And like I said, it doesn't lean like overly masculine or overly feminine. And I think that's why it like resonates so much with me, is that it can have like a cute little like hello small things on it. And I don't feel like it's like Hello Kitty, hello small things. It's just like really cool. And because it's stationery, also like there's a lot of cool stationery things that I have. So it'll be like washi tape. Probably my most used washi tape of all of it is from Eric Small Things, because it's just like a roll of just cool little like stationery drawings that she does. She even has ink. I had to buy the ink because it's Eric Small Things. I probably are like, I have a problem, Jess. There's a problem, clearly, but I just can't say no, and I'm not ashamed of it.
No, that's very fair. I mean, do they have like a carry tote? You need to have like all of your Eric Small Things in your Eric Small Things carry tote so that you can just like, complete the set and have them all together. It sounds quite sweet. I didn't realize that Eric Small Things and Cute Things from Japan were like different. I kind of just thought they were the same thing.
Yeah, no, the store Cute Things from Japan works, partners, they've done a lot with them. But like when those two things came together, and I was like, this is a matchmaking in heaven. And then they started partnering together and putting out boxes and kits and everything. Ah, it makes me so happy.
Well, I'm glad that it makes you happy because, in talking about this, just because we can't say no to it doesn't mean it's necessarily a problem we want to solve. Like, sure, there are parts of my stationery collection that I continue to accrue items of, but it's like, I can stop whenever I want. There's no problem here at all. Am I lying to myself? Maybe.
100% relying to herself. Well, let's keep on that track, Jess. What is the next thing on your list that you just can't say no to?
Well, yeah, speaking about lying to yourself, the thing I keep lying to myself about is that I need more stickers, because I definitely do not need more stickers. What I actually need is a better storage solution so that I know what stickers I have so that I can actually use the stickers. And the thing with stickers is that, like, part of it is that mentality of like, I must find the perfect use for this sticker because once I put it down, that's it, it's gone kind of a thing. I need to get out of that. I'm slowly getting out of that. I need to remind myself that it's okay because I have enough. I have enough. And I can use this one sticker and I will still have stickers and it'll be fine. I feel like internal just doesn't believe me, but it's true.
I feel like you have to kind of reach that threshold where you realize you have way too many. And then I feel like that goes away because I got there a little bit ago where I was just like, I have too many. And I was like, stickers, stickers, stickers all the time. And I'm like, use the sheets, Mark, get rid of them. Like you can always get other ones of them, but sometimes you can't. And like, I think that also falls into what we talked about with like notebooks sometimes too. Like you just can't get them again. So therefore you feel like you need to hoard them. But at the same time, I'm just like, the brands that are making those things, a lot of the times they have like a character or something that they use a lot that you just get, a little character in a different pose instead of that one. The hard part is when like sticker shops go out of business, especially smaller ones, and like you really loved what they were doing. I then will also fall into that trap where I'm like, but I can't buy these again. So I don't want to lay down this, day of the week one because I won't have it again. But, it is hard to kind of overcome that. But that for me, I just hit a threshold. I was like, I got too many. It's time to clear out so I can buy more.
Yeah, I need to clear out so I can buy more because that's the thing. It's like I used to collect stickers. I mean, I currently collect stickers, but hold on for a second. So I used to collect stickers. I accrued a heaps and heaps and heaps of them. I had like a binder and then a whole bunch of like books that you would buy from the crafting store that had heaps of stickers in them. And I kind of got to a point where it's like I'm not using any of these, so there's no point in having them. And I got rid of all of them. I got rid of all of my stickers.
Wow.
And then I started a reading journal and decided I wanted to do decorative things for each of the books I was reading. I'm like, well, now I need to have, I don't need is a strong word. In my mind, internal Jess was like, I need to have stickers so that then I can match them to the themes of the book or the scenes in the book or characters or like whatever else. So I've started to amass quite a few stickers again. I've also changed my journaling style though, because previously I was doing a lot of hand drawn stuff, like when I first started my mindset there was thinking like if I have other people watching my content, I want them to be able to do it with whatever supplies they have.
Hmm.
Everybody has a pen, everybody has markers or colored things of some description. They don't have to be the same ones I'm using, but they have those as supplies. So I will draw in my journal to give them inspiration that they can in theory also create, which I think is kind of funny because nowadays I get comments from people saying, "Oh, I love that you use stickers because I'm not creative." Well, they say I'm not creative. I don't believe them, but I'm not creative, so I can't draw. So it's really nice to see you using things that I could just use in my journal too. So it's kind of an interesting point. Like, set out to just draw in my journal to try and make it more accessible for people when people now are saying, oh, it's more accessible because you're using stickers and such. So I'm kind of amassing stickers to use in my regular journal for decoration, which means I need to have a certain amount of those stickers because I like to use the same theme for the entire of the month. And I don't want to like get to halfway through the second week and have run out and then I'm like, cool, now I don't have anything that matches and now things don't match together and it makes me sad. And I'm like, it's not what I like in my journal. But then I also am amassing them for the reading journal as well. And those ones need kind of more variety, but a smaller number. So it's tricky.
I was going to ask you, do you have a certain kind of like style or theme? Like when you see a certain type or design of sticker, you're in the same boat where you're just like, well, I have to buy it because it's there. Or are you always thinking like in like themed months or like you said, like a reading journal? I feel like that kind of probably has like a set kind of general aesthetic to it.
Yeah, when I first started my reading journal, it was all browns and beiges. So I just went really hardcore on collecting those kind of things. They weren't so much the stickers, they were more like papers and tapes. So I have, we talked about it last time, an entire section of one of my washi tape drawers that's just dedicated to browns and beiges because I collected all of those to do in my reading journal. For this year, though, with the way that I've tackled my reading journal, I do have a monthly theme for the kind of start of month pages, like the reading tracker, the pages for the book club, the month in statistics, that kind of stuff. But each of the books themselves either gets a full page or a half page that's just dedicated to that book and is just decorated in alignment with that book. I know some people try and decorate so it's like kind of matchy matchy across the page, even if they have multiple books. I don't really go with that because I feel like that would put too much pressure on my perfectionistic brain to like find books that actually have a same vibe so that then I could put them on the same page. I've just decided to make it so it's like in your little box, in your little section, you are decorated in accordance with this piece of media. But it does mean that I now have quite a few little bits and pieces because I've been like, oh, I could read a book about Egypt one day, so I'll go and like buy this Egyptian sticker pack, even though I'm not going to use them in my regular journal because I don't I don't really feel compelled to decorate in an Egyptian theme, though now as I'm saying that, it would be kind of cool, so like maybe, but now do I have enough stickers for that? Maybe I need to go buy more stickers. This is the problem I have.
Do you have certain shops that you like to shop for a lot of those, or are you just a equal opportunity sticker buyer?
I mainly go with Journal Site, mainly because they want to send me things, and thus it is easy. This is the thing, I don't buy a lot of stationery, I just kind of get given the stationery, which is a very nice place to be in. It is very nice to have these businesses and brands that want to work with you and send you stuff. I very much appreciate that. But it also kind of does mean that I don't branch out to a lot of other stationery shops because it's that mentality of like, hey, if I can get it for free, why don't I go get the free one as opposed to going and spending my money on these other things? But then I guess I'm not highlighting a lot of other businesses, which I have been thinking about. Like, it would be nice to do. I know that, like, for instance, one business that I really love their general vibe aesthetic is Papershire. Their stuff is so cute and it gives me like the cute aggression where I just want to like bite things and like rip things up. I won't because that is not a sensible response. But in my mind, that's kind of what I want to do when I see their stuff because it's so cute.
No, I feel you on it. I think for me, it's always been hard. Stickers kind of fall in line with like washi tapes, where it's been really hard for me to find a sticker shop that resonates with my style specifically. I feel like a lot of the times I'm picking and choosing. You'll get those big like sticker books, like from Go Wild. We got like a ton of those. And I was flipping through some the other day, and it's not that it's bad at all. It's just not my style. And so I'll be like, oh, well, I'll like, this page and this page. And it'll be like maybe 3 or 4 pages of an entire book that I'd actually use, like for myself. And then I give it away, my kids or at work or wherever it is like that. But for me, I just find it very hard. It has to be like something very specific for me to be like, oh, I'm going to buy that. Like I bought this really cool like ephemera sticker book, like you were just talking about. I think it has like over 1,000 stickers in it. But I actually did like look through it online and like find some other pages, and I made the general consensus like, yes, almost everything in here I will use. Like it was very cool. It was like sideshow kind of classic, kind of antique kind of look to it. I was like, yeah, totally will use this. So finding those are few and far between, but I feel like when I find something I really like, I'm like, yeah, all in because you get me.
No, that's very fair. I do quite like those sticker books mainly because stuff typically kind of matches together. I say
Mhm.
typically, sometimes it just straight up doesn't as an eclectic mix of whatever else. But for the smaller ones in particular, where they've kind of got a theme going throughout it, it means that you can kind of go through and pick and choose such. I find I used to think that I was more into functional stickers. It's like, if I'm going to put a sticker in my journal, it's going to be a functional one. And that's probably because I was more so into that, like, hand drawing stuff and whatnot. Nowadays, I do consider my stickers to have a function, but the function is decoration. And by being decorated, I use my journal, which is what the function is. So I guess, maybe that's like a stretch for some people, but I do still consider it to be a functional thing, but it is more so like in camp decoration than it is in camp like I'm going to use this to track my water intake or like a box that I could write in or anything like that. But in terms of your third most collected thing, what would that be?
Well, Jess, that would be the giant wall of things behind me. Those would be my fountain pens.
Who is shocked? Literally nobody. Nobody is shocked.
Any second of the day, Mark has the opportunity to talk about fountain pens. He will. Something I do often, just so I can show my fountain pens to someone, is when I'm on video calls for work. Often I'll like pretend to like fiddle with it or do something with it because I just really want somebody to be like, "Mark, is that a new fountain pen that you have?" No one does that, but I really just I'm like, I want someone else to see this, so I like fool with it while I'm on camera sometimes, just so someone will look at it. I just have a real love and affinity for fountain pens. I basically see them as mini works of art. And I think the things that have really drawn me to it the most, especially early on, was this idea of being able to change the ink in them. And so, I was terrified of fountain pens up front. I think in our early fountain pen episode, I might have talked about that, where a friend of mine gave me one at work and she was like, "Oh, you should use this." And it was just one of the varsity ones, like that are already filled up. And I was like, "Oh, I can't. It's a fountain pen. And and it's so petite, whatever." And I remember she gave me one of her actual fountain pens to use. And I was like, "Oh, how much is this?" And she said like $200. And I was like, "And this is back in your hands now. Like I can't have something like that in my hands." And this weekend I just bought another fountain pen that was $200. Like not even thinking about it. But it's made with feathers, you know? So like I was like, oh, I have to have this. Like that's very cool. But it's just kind of one of those things where that came later on. Like up front, it was very much about the reuse, you know, not having to go through 100 different pens, carry one pen, change the ink when you want to. Then it really started to snowball and get worse because then when you start down the fountain pen road, you just see something else cool that you like and you find a brand that really resonates with you and you're like, oh, it's kind of the Eric Small things of things, right? You're like, oh, I really like these Twisby pens. Like the colors are cool, what they look like, how they write is really great. There's Benu, which is another one. They have like all these like ultra glitter pens, and while I'm not all into glitter, they're also just like different things. They put things in their pens that you wouldn't normally like find out there, and it's just been something for me that I've just like really fallen in love with, and it's basically become my personality.
I mean, I think that's kind of fair. I do like a point that you made, and you think you've made it a few times, but I can't remember which episode. Probably the fountain pen episode, but anyways, the idea of like a pen for your personality and such, and like matching your pen to your like season or whatever, those kind of things. I do appreciate the like ability to change the inks out and such, and kind of like you mentioned, this idea of you know one pen to rule them all, and you don't need to carry around a bajillion different pens because you can change the ink out. I, on the other hand, do not mind carrying around a bajillion pens, mainly because I only carry around like three at a time, because I'll only carry around the ones for that month, because I like everything matchy-matchy. I don't need a full suite of pens, I just need the 3 or 4 colors I'm using for that particular period. But I have been thinking, and I'm only thinking because I don't want to get anybody excited, especially not you. I was thinking about getting another fountain pen, maybe.
Yes. Yes. Do it, Jess. Do it. Which one were you thinking about?
That was literally as far as the thought got. I have not investigated further. I was like, you know what? I'd like another one.
I think you should get another one. I mean, well, first of all, because you won't change the ink on the one I gave you 2 years ago. Like, it's time, Jess. The other day I was clearing out one of my pens I used a few weeks ago because I try to keep it fresh and I use a pen every week or maybe every 2 weeks, depending. And I had what looked like a ton of ink left in it. I was like, oh, I don't want to. When I actually like unscrewed it out of there, it was such a little amount of ink. And I was like, that's not a big deal. You have, 80 bottles of ink elsewhere. The problem you're going to have, Jess, with that is because you've had the same ink, like you're going to have to like really clean it out because it's just been sitting in there. I mean, that's fun. And I think I sent you the video on how to clean out your pen, but it's time, Jess. It's time.
No, Iris doesn't want to change. Look at that. There's so much ink left in that. You can't even see it. But look at that.
Jess,
So much ink.
that's
So much ink.
that's not a lot of ink. That's the thing. When you get your jar and you just squeeze it out and it drips out, you'll see it's literally going to be like 6 drips of ink, and you're going to be like, "Why did I wait for this?" It's just one of those things where, trust me. And I gave you like 6 other sample bottles with like 5 ml of ink in each one of them. Like you have 30 milliliters of ink that you can put inside that pen, and you can buy more ink when you're done.
No, no, that can't possibly be me. I think that's the thing that it's tricky for me because oftentimes when I have pens, typical writing pens that have ink in them and you just write until it's done, that's the mindset I'm in. So it's like the pen isn't done. You still have ink. I need to finish it. And I'm that kind of way with a bunch of stuff, like, saving all of my little offcuts from my sticker paper because I'm like, oh, I could use this to fix a mistake in my journal. I do not make this many mistakes. I do not need this much paper, but alas, I feel compelled, called to make sure I save every tiny little scrap because I could use it one day. I have started not saving every single piece, though. I feel good about that. Baby steps here. One day I will empty Iris and I will fill her up with something new. But for now, she can deal with TikTok Croc because it's beautiful. And I do want to use it. I just don't typically write in green ink.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You switch out the black ink, I think you get a lot more use out of it. And something else too. I mean, if you go down the route of fountain pens, you can buy kind of the big brand ones, but I might suggest to you actually looking into like maker pens. And it's kind of like the next level of fountain pen collection for me personally. I think the really exciting part about maker pens is that I know that someone literally has like handmade that pen from like a blank, and knowing that they're literally like on a machine, like whittling it down to the design that's in there. Something I've really fallen in love with recently is also like each maker similar to brands have their own style. And so it's like, oh, when I'm going to buy a pen from like Papa J Woodworks, I know I'm going to get like something fantastic, right? Or for like Zodiac pens, they have these really cool, slim looking ones. It's Pisces is the name of it. It kind of looks like a fish, hence Pisces. But like that I haven't seen before. Yeah. So when I go to these pen shows and I'm meeting like new people, it's so much more than just buying a fountain pen. I know that I'm doing that and I'm meeting the person more than likely that has made that pen. And that to me is like even cooler. But it's just one of those things. Like I said, it's just like something so special about it, but not special enough not to use it. I think I've gotten over that. There is one pen, a Mark Twain one that I have that was like my holy grail pen for a long time. And I finally got it and I didn't use it for like a year. And then finally someone was like, Mark, use it. That's why you wanted to get it, like just do it. And so now they're special, but they're not so special that I'm not going to use them. And again, it's similar to everything we've talked about, not throwing away the paper, like not using the stickers. It's just like, let's enjoy these things while we're alive. We only have so much time in our lives. So like, let's make sure that we're using them and enjoying them while we have them, not to be like morbid about it, but it's realistic, like soon the stickers aren't going to stick anymore.
Don't say that, oh my god! But it's a good point, though. No, it's interesting because I don't have trouble applying that kind of mentality to certain things. Like if we're thinking about, the good crockery or whatever, the crockery that comes out at Christmas, I'm totally fine to use the good crockery at any point in the year, to the extent where I do not have good crockery, I just have my regular crockery and it gets used whenever. But when it comes to stickers, I'm just like I'm not ready yet. I'm getting there. I will get there soon. I think that this is going to be my year. This is going to be my year that I let go of the preciousness of the hoarding of the stickers and possibly clean out the little, I don't know, scrap bin. I've at least started to get better with it. I'm not there yet, but I'm on my way and I feel good about that.
Yeah, no, you're on your way. So, Jess, what's your number 3 thing now that you've talked about all these amazing sticker buys? I feel like we're just enabling people in this episode too.
Yeah, and we're trying not to. It's that thing. It's that balance of like, this is something I enjoy, so I want to bring it into my collection, and I'm okay with having more of those items, but also just knowing your limit. And I think that for this next one, I have definitely reached my limit, and I need to consistently remind myself of my limit because that is going to be A5 notebooks. In particular, A5 notebooks with 160 bright white GSM pages, all the blah blah blahs, dot grid, and just the thing that really gets me though is when they start bringing out these full cover designs, because like that is the full cover designs are having their moment and I am 100% here for it and I want every single one of them. But I have over 200 A5 notebooks. Yes, some of them are used, but still I don't need that many, especially now as I'm kind of venturing out into other sizes. Like, I had my kind of experimental years where I was trying out different ones to figure out what I liked, and now I've kind of come to the realization that square and B6 are also really great sizes for me. So if I'm gonna collect notebooks and hoard them like a dragon, then I should probably be collecting in those sizes more than A5. But my default mindset is like, ooh, beautiful design. I should get this in A5. Which, yes, it is because it is like the size that I typically use. It is my most commonly used size, so it makes sense to have more of those. But I already have so many. I have enough for literally like the next 20 plus years, probably more given how many I actually use in a year. I used to use more in a year, so I think I was sitting on about 15 years. I have now slowed down in how many I use per year, and I've accrued a lot more, so we're probably looking more like 35 to life now. Mm.
It is when you actually sit down and think about it. I did that recently, maybe like a year or so ago when I counted all of my notebooks. That was a moment when I was like tallying them up and I saw how many I had. And I thought to myself, like, let's do the math, Mark. Let's say that I use 2 notebooks a year, right? Because at A5s, I typically go through 2 to 3 in a year just because of how much I write. But now I'm switching like B5 and square, and each one of those last about a year. And I was like, I have enough to literally last me the next like 20 years, like you said. Like that's a lot of notebooks. Maybe that's even more if I'm doing that. Like I'm trying to think like how many more years do I have to live if I do the math and I don't buy any more. But it is when you really sit down and think about that and say like, what is the actual likelihood of me using this many? But again, like even if I had just 50 notebooks, like that is enough to last me a really long time. And if even if I were to get close to the end, like there's always another notebook to buy. Like I've been trying to change that mindset for myself with notebooks because I'm literally running out of space. Like it's to the point now where I'm giving away or I've donated ones that I'm really not going to use. I've come to terms with that. But now I'm with the stash of things that like I really want to use and I know I will. So like adding anything extra to it, I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to have to like get rid of one to replace another? Like I feel like I'm almost at that point now where like I'll have to start making some of those decisions, and I don't want to have to do that honestly, but I just, no one put out notebooks that look really cool anymore. Can you all make them ugly and make them so no one wants them? It would be a lot better for me.
Yeah, it would just make our lives a lot easier if you guys only put out fugly notebooks from now on. Please and thank you. But I guess that's the thing, right? I am gonna keep buying notebooks. It's just it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. Mainly because they come out with new designs, they're absolutely beautiful, and I want them, so I'm gonna get them. I'm not gonna lie to myself about that. But in that case, which ones in my collection am I just not gonna use? Because there are definitely ones that I have in my collection that if I needed a new notebook, like to set one up for an everyday journal or long term collections or like whatever, they're never going to be the one I pick. So why are they in my house?
Mhm.
And this is why I'm so excited about my declutter, because I'm actually going to go through and like ruthless. I'm feeling like I'm going to be ruthless right now. And I'm hoping that that is what actually happens, because otherwise these are all very empty promises. I don't want to say anything like, oh, I'm going to like cut my notebook collection in half or anything. But I think in the back of my mind, that's kind of what I want to do.
Well, because it's a nice like even cut to do it. But what always happens to me is that you do, and then you're just like, yeah, but like I really like this one too, though. And then you kind of like move it over to the other pile and to the other side to try to figure it out. I mean, I think we have to make ourselves happy. There's no point in torturing ourselves with them. For me, though, I always try to think about like, but what am I going to do with all the extra ones? Like I've been really thinking recently about some of these like resale sites, but like I don't know enough about it to like really do it. Like it's weird. I feel like an old geezer where I'm like, well, I don't know nothing about that new confangled, selling your books on the internet stuff. So like I'm not gonna do it. But I don't know like what to expect. I don't know like, do you charge for the notebook plus shipping? And like what if somebody wants to buy it and it costs $25 to ship it and I only charge them $10? Like there's just like a business about it that I was just like, is it worth? And then I have to go to the post office, Jess.
You're
Like,
definitely thinking about this too much. It is like not that hard. Okay,
okay.
here's the breakdown. One, take a picture. Two, set the price. Three, say that shipping has to be paid for on top of whatever price you set. Easy
Okay.
mode. Because then, if they live at the ass end of the world and they want to pay $40 in shipping because that is the design that they have their hearts and dreams and hopes set on, that's cool. Totally up to them. I find that for me, because I live at the ass end of the world, it means that a lot of the stuff that I pass on, I know that other people here can't really easily acquire. So it's kind of nice for the people who are around me to be able to get those things without paying a premium. Notably, you live in the States, so like shipping's probably a little bit different there and whatnot. But I also find that I'm not going to go to the post office to ship things because I'm lazy. So instead, I book a courier to come and get it from my house. So I do not have to leave the house.
Nice. I like that idea. Yeah, I mean, my post office literally is up the street. Like I have to pass it to leave my neighborhood. So it's not a hard thing to do. Well, let me just ask you a quick question, even though it's a little bit of sidetrack here, but like when you say you're paying the shipping on top of the thing, like are you like messaging them when you make it to the post office? Like how do you know how much shipping is going to be? Maybe there's an internet thing you can use to figure that out.
There definitely is. So, New Zealand Post, the people that I use, they have an online calculator. So, you can just put in the dimensions. You don't actually have to have booked anything yet. You just tell them the general area that it's going to, and it'll spit out how much it'll be in terms of shipping. So, if somebody from Australia says that they want to buy it from me, then I'll just put in like Melbourne or like Queensland or whatever, and it'll give me at least an approximate amount. And then I'll typically just tack on like another $2 or whatever, just in case anything doesn't really work out. Or sometimes I'll just be like, I'll just take the loss on that. Doesn't really matter because that can be kind of covered in the price of the item itself. What some people do like to do though, in terms of selling stationery supplies in general, especially if you know that the longer it stays in your house, there's more of a likelihood that you're going to kind of like justify keeping it and bring it back into your stash, is just price to sell, price to go, price to get out the door. And that's what I did with my acrylographs, because I had this kind of like emotional attachment to it. It's like, oh, I've been collecting these and they look so nice in the drawer. And it's like, well, maybe I will use the paint pens. No, dangerous thinking. We do not want that. So it's like, hey, I have $1,200 worth of pens and I'm going to give them to you for $100. Who wants them? Bam! So quick. Gone so fast. And that meant that I didn't have time to justify keeping them to myself. Haha, hacks.
I mean, I think I have to do the same thing with my fountain pens too. Like our friend Julie from Julie here, she's always posting stuff online and people are buying her pens. I feel it's just like the wheeling and dealing of the fountain pen space. You know, you buy it, you like it, you use it, or you buy it, you don't use it. I mean, there's definitely pens in my collection that I don't grab for. And there are ones probably not hanging up on this wall right now that I could be like, oh, like I could pass that along. And then sometimes I feel weird too. Like you mentioned, like a lot of people are sending you stuff. Like I have a number of pens that people had sent to me, brands or whatever. And I kind of feel weird like then selling that. But it's been like over a year that I've had some of these things. So I feel like
Do it.
yeah, I feel like that time has passed where it's not like I'm getting it, posting a picture with it or whatever was the obligation, and then like selling it right away. But at the same time, I just know there's just certain pens that I'm not going to use, and no one else wants my fountain pens because I've already given them to everybody else.
I think it's also the same kind of thing that sometimes people have with gifts. It's like, oh, this was gifted to me. Like, if I get rid of it, then I'm doing that person a disservice. Like, they're going to be sad or something like that. But the gift has actually already done its purpose. Its purpose was to be a gift. And now you can go and give it second life and it can go and do, its next purpose in life, which is to actually be used, just not by you, because you're not the one who's going to use it because you've already decided that you don't really like it. So you're kind of just letting that item go and fulfill its destiny by passing it on to its next home.
I like the way you think, Jess. I think it's a really good thought process there. I think that might help me out a little bit.
Yeah, just me like personifying all of my items. I know that that's very kind of like Marie Kondo to like, say thank you to your items and such. And when you kind of read that, you're like, I'm not going to thank my items. That's weird. I'm not going to talk to my stuff. And I'm like, if you find that you are like emotionally attached to it though, talking to it like it is personified in that way can just make it feel softer, which is kind of nice. Hacks or whatever, things that just make it easier to let go of things. I'm all about it. Can you tell that I'm just like really in my decluttering mindset right now? I'm just like so excited.
I love it. I feel like you have to be there though, or else like doing any of these things and like saying no when something new pops up, just it doesn't work. You know, when people are like, oh, no buy month. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like any fun. And also, but like, what if something like really does come up that you want and it's limited edition? And that's the other thing that's always gets me too. When it's like limited edition, once they're gone, they're gone. I'm like, I have to have them with the number on it. I think for me, it's more about right now and like how I plan on probably getting a little bit better with this whole like bad buying habits is really just like thinking about it before I hit the buy now button, and being like, do I really need this? Or is there something very special? Like the fountain pens for me, I kind of made a thing for myself this year that was like, I'm only going to buy a pen if there's something really special about it. Like it's something very different, whatever that might be. And I've done a good job on that this year. I can definitely say like, I'll usually just like click on like Atlas Stationers and look through like recently released items. And I'm like, oh, new pens, new things, whatever. But I'm just like, but I don't really need it, so it's like I could buy it if I wanted to, but like I'm not feeling excited about it. And it's probably going back to like why Eric Small Things is my deal. Like I see it and it makes me happy and I'm like, I want to feel happy like this all the time, which I think is how we all get into these bad buying habits.
Yeah, I think that it's really about finding a strategy that works for you. So, like, for instance, you know that setting yourself a no buy period is probably not going to be a way that convinces you to not accrue these things that we're constantly buying up, our problem areas in terms of stationery. But something like setting budgeted amounts can be helpful for people. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, I am allowed to buy whenever I want, but I'm only allowed to buy within this spending limit, or I am allowed to buy X amount per quarter, or anything like that. If those are the kind of things that help you keep on track with not bringing more into your stash when you realistically don't need it, that can be really helpful. I think that I do like the challenge of a no buy year, but I do not think that it would work with the way that I am inclined. Like, I like getting new stuff. I like cycling through things and getting to bring them into my stash, using them for as much as I need to use them, and then passing them on as secondhand items. I don't like it when they sit in my space and dwell for too long, because then they feel like they're festering. Feel like they're sitting there just like bringing in the bad juju and just like making me feel guilty about not using them. So I'd rather them just kind of move on to their new home, that type of a thing. But I'd be very curious to know, what are the things that you find yourself just not able to say no to? There are the stationery supplies that you constantly are bringing more and more into your collection, maybe in a way that makes you a little sad, maybe in a way that you're like, haha, I don't have a problem, I can stop whenever I want. Let us know either in the comments if you're watching on YouTube, or you can email us at plannerpalspodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on Instagram at plannerpalspodcast.
I'm super excited to hear what everyone has to say. I think there's a really nice community building that happens when you know that you're not alone with your poor buying habits, but also at the same time, introducing people to new things they didn't know that they needed is also super fun. So, Planner Pals, we always appreciate you hanging out. We can't wait to hear from you, and we will talk to you next time. See ya.